There we go. Get a little banner up.
Hello, everybody. Oh,
Hey,
I'm going to
everybody.
comments.
What is going on?
My internet has just been crap all day. It's giving me the little bad connection symbol right now.
I
Everything
mean,
kept
you're
going
a
digital
little
earlier.
pixely, but, we can see you.
Yeah, and your audio's fine, so it's not like
My
you're skipping.
apartment has the weird situation where, like, if I run too many appliances at the same time, even if they're not on the same circuit, as far as I know, everything just goes down. So the other morning I was making toast in my toaster. Toaster goes down, and I'm like, what? Gosh, did the toaster die? And then I realized, like, oh, the fridge also died.
Oh no.
Oh no. So I'm walking around the house, turning on lights, like what's on, what's off. And like half the house was fine.
Yeah.
It was just like this one weird circuit that certain things were on that just decided to go to sleep.
Old wiring, yeah? Old wiring.
Old wiring.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Oh, and then, like, the landlord probably won't fix it unless it just goes kaput.
My landlord, if I explain this to him, he would be like, what language are you speaking, Sarah?
Wow.
He's not going to fix it.
Okay.
If I were to say, like, we need to rewire this entire building, he'd be like, doesn't sound like something I want to pay for, but let me ask the HOA and get back to you. That's where we would go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's not a handyman. Let's just
Now,
call it
Sarah,
that.
we know your fridge takes 20 watts to run, but you're going to have to live with 25 for the whole apartment. That's just how it's going to be.
I mean, I don't know. Listen, I love my apartment. I would live here forever if I could, but they need to think about some electric stuff.
Yeah.
That's
We'll upgrade
that's,
here.
That's what they
Yeah.
do. That's what they need.
Like, get with
well-
the times.
Well, we're all here. What do
go.
you say we do an Apple Vision show, Eileen?
That sounds like a plan, like a good plan to me.
Good
I love
plan
it.
to me as well. Let me just get live in StreamYard and just say hello.
Yeah, we got 4 or 5 people already sitting here waiting for us to go. So
Wee
Okie
wee.
doke. Okie dokie.
and then about halfway through, we get about 20 people and be like, "Wait, you started without us."
No, I know.
Well, we've been sort of bouncing around our live show times, but life gets in the way sometimes. How was Seven, Eileen?
Oh, he's good.
Yeah,
He's good.
so happy.
Back. He is happy, and we have to not give him too much affection, because we are the pack
he's
leaders.
supposed to remember.
Yeah,
stuff that he learned.
He's doing it. He even in class he liked to protest. So like, oh, I did this. I mean, I don't have to stay here that long, right? Like, no, I don't want to. So he would, kind of, because he's in his rebellious teenage phase.
Yeah.
And I can tell he's doing the same with us. And now that he's home, he's like, oh yeah, I'm the king of the place. Yeah, this is my house. You don't follow rules. And then we're doing it. And he's like, what? I do sense.
Yeah, he's like, I came back from class and now I'm just like hanging at mom and dad's house.
Yeah, cool. And then we're like, okay, do this. And he's like, wait, that's like what my trainer Kay says. I'm not with her. I'm with you. It's like, guess what? We learned your rules. So he's, he's actually doing really good. And I feel like he's a little bit more calm. And I attribute that to both being a little bit older and also going through the training, but he is, like I said, he's in that rebellious teenage phase and it's going to go on for a little bit. So he's going to push back, there'll be some things that he'll do that I'm like, oh, seriously. But I do.
I mean, not that this probably won't help you, but Otis, the dog, who is now 8, so he's not a senior, but he's getting there type thing. He met a German Shepherd in our neighborhood the other day. We've never seen them before. They lost their minds, both of them. They did not like each other.
Oh no.
And I was like, I mean,
What
Otis
happened?
doesn't
Yeah.
bark. He doesn't like, he's not aggressive or whatever, but he was just like, something's wrong with that dog.
Oh.
And the woman with the dog was just sort of like, ha ha, this is funny. And I'm like, it isn't.
No.
We don't want this. No, this isn't good. We don't want to do this. We don't encourage behavior like this.
Yeah.
This is not the dogs that we want. And ever since then, when I walk him, if I walk him elsewhere, then it's fine. But when I walk him around the house that he knows the German Shepherd lives in, he's just like,
Oh, he smells the smells.
yeah, no, he's like, I'm ready for battle. And I'm like, stop,
Yeah.
the German Shepherd didn't do anything to you. You guys never even really met.
They-
you just
yeah.
decided you hated each other for no reason.
Our old neighbor 2 doors down had a dog named Nala, and when Sawyer would pass by, Nala hated Sawyer, and Sawyer was like, "Great, I don't like you either." And so every time it's just and Nala used to just hang out outside because if it's not too hot, she likes the front yard, but she's tethered. But she would just smell Sawyer coming up, and Sawyer would anticipate, and I'm like, "Oh my god, seriously!"
I know.
So I just like walk across
it's
the
like
street.
it only takes one, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, I know where
You're
I'm
the
going
worst.
past this house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like mortal enemies forever. And then Nala moved and, whatever. But I would never forget that.
The German Shepherd's house, which I don't know if he still lives there or not. Who knows? But now when we go by, like Otis, like I can see him just being like, I'm ready. I'm like, ready for what? What are you gonna do?
Okay, well, yeah, what's going
Like
on?
I'm in flip flops. You're on a leash. We're walking, and I have to work. Get your life together.
Like, do you think the German Shepherd's gonna get mom or something? Like,
Yeah,
no,
like no.
you don't have
like
to
the
protect.
mom is like waving at me like, "Hi, neighbor," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I think maybe we should rethink this."
Right. Oh, dog politics. Yeah.
True
Otis
story.
is not
True
ready
story.
to squabble up.
Squabble up, indeed. All right. Well, without further ado, let's say we get the show on the road.
Let's do it.
Sure, why not?
I will count myself in 3, 2. Welcome to Apple Vision Show, episode 49. Eileen Rivera, I don't know if 49 means as much to you as it does to me.
Oh, it does to you. Yes, your team, right?
Yeah, it's the 49ers. NFL team.
Gotcha.
We're bringing it into football right now. But yes, I'm Sarah Lane. This is Eileen Rivera. Eileen, how are you doing?
I'm good. I will. Well, oh wait, we're done with football. So you're gonna have to
We're
wait a
done
few more
with
months.
football
Yeah,
for a while.
yeah.
I know this is what we call the sad season, where it's like, okay, we have hockey and yes, basketball and baseball has started. Well, basketball has been going on,
Right.
but like we have to wait until like October again for football.
Right. But time seems to move fast, and then by October we'll have.
That's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
It does, and then by October we'll have yet another iPhone. But we also have one today.
Oh, we do. Okay, yeah. So let's everybody joining us. First of all, thank you for being with us, and thank you for understanding that we actually do talk about Apple products, even though we also talk about being sad that football is over. If you're in my house. But yes, so big Apple announcement today. We knew this was coming. Tim Cook pre-announced that the announcement would happen last week. And as promised, and as everyone kind of thought, this was the new iPhone 16e. This replaces the iPhone SE. Apple announced the 16e, and it is interesting in a few different ways. So it has a 6.1-inch OLED display, It has Face ID, so it does get rid of that Touch ID button that we talked about last week. Longer battery life than pretty much what Apple says is any other iPhone in its lineup. Has its first in-house 5G modem. That's the C1 chip. So this is something that is not reliant on Qualcomm, something that Apple is doing in-house. Starting at $599. There is some contention about that price point. But with the A18 chip, has support for Apple Intelligence, advanced photo editing tools, and pre-orders start Friday, February 21st, shipping February 28th. So we're going to have to pour out a little liquor for the iPhone SE and the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus because they have been shelved indefinitely.
Yes, and when I do the comparisons on the Apple site, it says, you could go to some other retailers to find those phones. It's like they're not even like delete. You can compare, but you can't buy. Whereas the others, if you do the side by side comparison on Apple, you can buy now. Yeah. So I'm curious about the price situation because when I'm looking at the specs, let's even just take it the 16E to the 16 Pro, my phone. It's a pretty good phone, if you don't need all that horsepower. So, when I'm seeing like, okay, battery capacity is 26 hours to 27 hours, like that's not bad. And then there's things that are, I'm looking at a Verge article that really it breaks down. It doesn't break down the iPhone 6 Pro Max because that's way over there. But the closest comparable phones, and they're just slight differences. Now the refresh rate, okay, 60 hertz, and then the Pro has 120 hertz. So there's a couple things that are a little bit stronger on the Pro. Yeah. But if you're not going to use a phone in a way that's like, I don't know that you even need 4K, but you get 4K on the E as well. So I just think it's a pretty great phone. And is the price because people think it's too high, Sarah? Like,
well, I know that So I think that people do think that, $600 for the entry point iPhone 6e is high. Comparing it to the SE, where I think the entry price point was $429. So that's, it's certainly a lot higher. And that's sort of like, well, Apple's doing what it's doing. What I think is the more interesting conversation is, what about the iPhone 16? Yeah. Not the Pro and Pro Max, but the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. Because you had said last week, like, there's certain things that people like maybe, variety of colors. And, maybe some camera upgrades. And the iPhone 16e doesn't have that and does lack a few camera upgrades. But also, I just feel like it really competes with the 16 line in general.
It does. Yeah. Okay. I hadn't looked at that one closely, but you're right. It really does. So now, there, like you said, there's lack of colors. There's also no MagSafe. I was like, wait, I rely on that. But of course you can get, actually does matter. You can get a case that's MagSafe, but what if you, like you, Sarah, you don't like to use cases. There's a lot of people like that. Like you want I love MagSafe for many things, for third-party accessories, like in my car or whatever. So outside of charging. So yeah, you're right. Now that I'm looking, like this iPhone 16, and then the price between two is $599 versus $799. Okay. Well, it is still cheaper, right? And I mean, but you only get white and black. But again, if you need a color, you can get a case. So, I don't know. Yeah, when you're looking at the camera, let me look at the camera display. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Well, there's a little bit more with the 16 versus the 16E. But if you are not a huge photography aficionado, then maybe you don't, need
And I
all of
mean,
that.
and
But
like, let's be honest. I would like to be one, but I think that cameras have gotten so good in so many
yeah,
phones that
hmm
little incremental upgrades are sure. I mean, maybe it matters to you. It doesn't matter to most people. I think
yeah,
what does matter to a lot of people is, wow, okay, so Apple is just going all in on the bigger phones, right? Like
yeah, oh
no
yeah,
more 4.7-inch
no,
LCD. Nope,
mm-mm.
no, we're 6.1 or 6.7 or 6.3. If you're talking about the iPhone 16 Pro. I am a big phone person because
Yes.
I just like them, but a lot of people aren't, and that's an interesting move, I think, on
hmm
Apple's part to be like, all right, we're doing the 16e. This replaces the SE, which was more of a, I don't want to call it feature phone, but a more
Yeah.
affordable version of, in the Apple line. Yeah, like that's gone. We're doing this now. It's Apple Intelligence focused and it's big.
hmm
We just didn't sell enough small phones.
Right.
I think
Right.
that's what, that's what our takeaway is on this.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? They made it brighter, or sorry, they made the phone bigger, the E. But there is, if you're watching a lot of video, the brightness is not as high as like the 16. I don't know if that really matters to everyone out there, but if you want to watch something and you want to see all the brilliant colors on your new 6.1-inch phone, it is a little less strong than the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. We already mentioned the camera, but yeah, I don't know. If you were a new consumer, Sarah, and you wanted to upgrade from the 14, which phone would you use if money mattered in terms of budget?
Oh, if money mattered, I would go with the 16E,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
$600 is still a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But my last iPhone, and thank you, Lamar Wilson, friend of the show, for being able to gift me something that he didn't want, which is my 15 Pro Max. I I I I I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay more than $600 for a phone at this
Mm-hmm.
point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people saying, well, the SE was, under $500. And so the 16E being priced at $600 is just over the threshold of,
Okay.
what people are willing to pay.
Yeah.
I think Apple, Apple has probably thought a lot about this. I
Mm-hmm.
think I agree. It's on the high side. It's also a really nice phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Apple is kind of getting out of that 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 area of, all right, a feature phone,
Mm-hmm.
small feature, not expensive phone. Apple's like, nah, we're doing our Apple thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
like all Apple Intelligence, all greatest screens ever, all and if you want those colors, you buy that iPhone 16.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like we're paying for the new chip, right? The C1 chip.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's another part of it too. I mean, I don't really think anybody who buys iPhones really cares about like who made that modem. But
Yeah.
but that is a big part of this as well. Apple going in-house, saying, "Okay, Qualcomm, you've been providing our modem chips this entire time, but we now are putting that into our new 16E phone."
Mm-hmm.
And I think if it goes well, that will be Apple saying goodbye, Qualcomm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is the test, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay. I know that there's no, like, the dynamic island is not there, and I used to think people didn't like that. And now it's like, oh, it's not on there. Like, do people really care about it? I don't mind it. I'm fine with having it, but
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
not like a thing I think
I
about
don't,
all that much.
yeah, I don't really think I see the little, on the notch up there. I'm like, oh, okay. I can barely even see the icon. The only one that really stands out is Duolingo, and I'm like, oh, it's the green owl. Everything else, if it's just
Gosh,
music or
that
YouTube, I'm
reminds
like, I
me.
can't. You got to do your lesson today, don't you?
I've done
I
my
have to do
lesson
mine
in
too.
like over a week. Sorry, Duolingo.
Sad owl is looking at you
Sad
right now.
owl. My gosh, they really go nuts on that.
They
You know,
do.
I'm like, I am sorry. I'm busy too. Sheesh.
Yeah, I got a notification that said from apparently from my sister, "End my nightmares. Please extend your streak." I'm like, "What?" My sister, because I guess we're playing each other or we're teaming up
Oh,
this week.
uh-huh.
I'm like, "Really?" I'm
Like,
sure
let's
she
not
gets the
talk about
same messages.
nightmares.
I know. And there's I'm looking at it now on my watch, but there's also a skull next to the message. It's really like scaring you, like, end these nightmares. But anyway, like, come on,
I think the
Duolingo.
last Duolingo just sort of like notification that I got was like, well, we realized that you're like really mad at us.
Mhm.
So we just like won't bug you anymore. And I'm like, first of all, you will, because that's how notifications work from apps. And also, like, what is wrong with you? Like, who decided that these are the notifications that we
I
should all
know.
get? You
It's
know,
so
like,
aggressive. Some of them are
yeah,
really
like
aggressive.
you don't
Like,
know
seriously.
me, you don't know what I'm doing.
That
Jeez.
little skull, the death skull is going to scare someone, and
Right,
raise their
right.
heartbeat, and then they're going to get a notification. Your heartbeat went high on your watch.
Totally.
So Amos was showing a response from Michael Pepper Tech that most people are getting their phones through their carrier. So $5.99 is $25 a month for 24 months, or 16.64 or $16.64 a month for 36 months. So it's those price points that matter for most
Yeah,
people. That
no,
makes
that's
sense. Yeah.
that's very fair. That's very fair. Yeah, if you want the phone that you want, you're gonna
Yeah.
get that phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't afford that phone, you're gonna get a different phone. But I do think that the Apple's 613, 613, no, 16.3.
Oh, 16.3. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. It's attractive. It's slightly overpriced, I think, for what Apple is going for. But I think Apple is kind of like, we're not doing that, that affordable phone thing anymore. This
Yeah.
is more affordable, certainly, than some of our flagship phones, but that's what we're doing. I will be very, very interested to see how this pre-sales, especially starting on the 21st, sell.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, should we guess that it'll I don't know. With this with this economy, I'm like, can people afford? But if people are upgrading from a 13, say, that might,
Yeah.
people with 13, I don't know. I mean, some people, did I talk to someone who was still rocking an 11 not long ago? Like, if you really want to
I
upgrade.
was not long
Yeah,
ago. Yeah.
right. So, now is the time if you don't need it. Obviously, didn't these people don't need all the bells and whistles, so you get a lot more now if you upgrade. Perhaps it would be time, but I don't know what's the percentage of people out there that are Apple consumers that have just been waiting and waiting. And you normally wait till like September or October, right? You wait for the fall announcement to see if you really want to
Yeah.
upgrade. This is kind of like, is this normal to do the SE around this time or the E at this time? Because I'm just like, oh, I generally just target September, then pre-order, then you get the phone in October. Like that's how I think. I don't think of any other phone being released at any other time as being important, sadly.
Well, when the SE was first announced, it was off of that schedule that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, ooh, what, who's this for? And turns out a lot of people liked it. It was an Apple phone that was great in many ways, and also, not
Yeah.
flagship, but affordable. And there are a lot of people in the world who want to have an iPhone. There are a lot of people who want to have other phones too, but for the iPhone faithful, as it were, I think that the SE was pretty strong out of the gate. Turns out Apple has decided, no, we're going bigger screen, we're going OLED, and that's what we're giving you. So
Yeah.
I will be very, very interested to see how the pre-orders go, and the orders in store as well
Do
afterwards.
we just have too many choices at this point? In a
Yeah,
way, right?
pretty
Right?
much.
Like I'm like looking like looking like for a needle in a haystack to find out, okay, yes, do I, and thinking about my use cases, now I obviously go for the Pro every single time, but maybe I don't have to at some point. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, new iPhone, get it or not get it.
iPhone 6e. If you have thoughts on the iPhone 6e, do you want it? Have you ordered it? Do you not want it? Whatever you think, please do send feedback our way, feedback@applevisionshow.com. Let's take a quick break and talk about some other Apple stuff. All right, Eileen, we've got a rumor, and I'm interested in this one, that Apple may be updating the Vision Pro to have Apple Intelligence. Some might say, didn't it already? But no, actually, no. The first iteration of the Apple Vision Pro didn't have Apple Intelligence because it didn't exist yet.
Dang. I think, it makes sense to have all of the products, have a lot of these, important features that they keep talking about, right? So if you have this, like, wouldn't you want to extend your experience on the Vision Pro because you're already using it on your phone, right? It
Yeah.
kind of just makes sense. Like it should be available. But are you like, how often do you actually use Apple Intelligence?
Not that often.
Yeah. So then there's
Well,
that too, but
Well, so this is a good question. So I was in the car the other day, and I wanted to like pull up a song, and it was like getting it wrong, and I was like irritated because I was trying not
trying not to touch your phone.
yeah,
Yeah.
like crash into the nearby building.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, Apple Intelligence it seems to work fine in certain cases, but I'm trying to figure out the use case for me. Because like when I get into my car and I've got CarPlay going, and like at that point, like I'm rocking. I can message people, I can take a phone call, I can do everything hands free. And Apple Intelligence doesn't really work in that capacity. And when I'm at home, I'm on the computer that I'm on right now. I don't really use it. I don't really use
Yeah.
it.
I have to say, and I think I mentioned this before in past shows, but I still elect to go to Alexa for my, weather, or wait, what time is sunset? Sometimes I, ask some basic questions like,
Yeah.
wait, when is it going to get dark? Like, I just need to know this right now, Alexa. And yeah, she does her thing, right? So I have not completely integrated to SIRI, but it's probably because I'm just disappointed every single time. You know, I feel like I don't get that high, and it's just not there yet, but I don't get that high quality, experience that I'm expecting with not, don't just pull up, this is what I found on the web. Like, that is annoying. Like, please give me in your voice the information. I don't know how many times I do something. This is what I pulled up on the web. I'm like, I don't want to look at the phone. I want you to talk to me. I want
Yeah,
you to
I know.
give
Yeah.
me the information verbally. And she doesn't do that for, I would say, more than half of the things that I request. Now, there's basic things like weather, sure. But at the point where you are reliant on a different service already, then I'm not going back to the other one. I will continue to try every once in a while, but it is kind of annoying when one service versus the other is giving you better results, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I obviously that was actually my thing for the year. I wanted Apple Intelligence to be better. I wanted SIRI to be better this year. So that's what I'm hoping for. It's my wish list for 2025. And it maybe there are hardcore users of Apple Intelligence that also has the Vision Pro that will be, rocking and talking and doing, things.
Yeah. And I
that'll make
mean,
the
if
experience
that's
better.
you, do let us know. Do let us know. But I'm with you, Eileen. The whole idea of, so my entire smart home is done through Amazon's, you know who, Alexa, EXA. And the other day I was at a friend's house and they do everything through HomeKit. Same thing, but they're doing everything through Apple HomeKit. And their HomePod, it was somebody like fired off like a series of questions. And I was like, it doesn't have to like wake up. And they're like, no, you just say like, hey, you know who? And then you just ask a question and then she gives it back to you. And I'm like, that's kind of fun. Huh. Because at my house, it's like, Alexa, and then, and then
Yeah.
you're like, are you awake? And then you ask your question. HomeKit, again, in a HomePod experience, is you just fire off your question and it just gives it back to you. Like, it's like not waiting for you to pause or whatever. And I was like, it seems kind of aggressive, but like also like way better. Because I'm
Yeah.
so used to being like, Alexa, turn off the living room lights. And then it's like, bam, bam. And then I'm like, oh, Alexa, turn off that one living room light that I actually still want. Like it does feel a little like, oh, we're just chugging along here. So yes, I guess my point is, I hope that Apple Intelligence will give the HomeKit and HomePods, but also third-party manufacturers that are working with Apple more of a way to say like, you don't have to make this like so clunky. It can just be like talking to our friend, because that was always the promise, right?
Yeah.
It was always like, just talk to your friend and you get information. You can order groceries, like all these things. I have always felt like Amazon's offering was a little clunky, but I'm so used to it. So
Yeah, it's the habits that we, it got out first in the gate. So we're going to have to, shave those habits.
yeah,
It's like the way I use Spotify more than I use Apple Music. I'm trying to use Apple Music more, but I'm just so used to, I launch it, But in my car,
yeah,
when music launches automatically, it's always Apple Music that launches automatically, not Spotify. And so sometimes I'm like, wait, I was listening to, why is this song coming up? I'm like, all right, different app. So, perhaps there will be some sort of trigger that will trigger SIRI a little bit more to get you to use it more. I don't know. ChatGPT is not so bad for the conversation back and forth. It's kind of weird. They're a little too, I don't know. We need some attitude with ChatGPT a little bit, just to give it, some like cockiness, because it's just like, yes, let me look that up for you. Well, when you're having the conversation, I'm like, okay, thank you for being respectful, but friendship isn't always like that. Right. Hello.
Yes. No, you're totally right. I think there first of all, it's like I feel like we're in like a variety of categories these days. So you've got like the category of people who are like smart
Yes.
home. No, I don't
And there
know.
is a
Like
lot of
why
people.
why is it hard to like turn your light on and off? And I'm
Right.
like, it's not. It's just so much more fun to do it via voice. So you've got those people. And then you've got the people who are like, yeah, I kind of get it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's confusing, and there's an app, and where I'm like, well, yeah, this is not something that actually just like comes out of the sky. You have to actually care about it. And then there's people I think that like I would say you and me are in the category of like, all right, it's really cool to have this stuff that works and doesn't work 100% of the time. So, you have to do a little bit of working on that level, but it's sort of the future. And
It is.
then you've got the other people who are way beyond, at least where I am, who are just like everything is, it's all just sort of like magical, either voice activated, face activated, handprint activated, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I would like to go towards that point, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, there's just not many use cases that
Yeah.
is a regular part of life. Other than some of the mechanics, like you mentioned, of the lights and that. Yeah, you don't really need it yet. But as we get older and technology gets better, then perhaps our descendants will be more reliant and couldn't live without it and think, wow, back in the olden days they didn't have this. So
I know.
yeah, we're like back in the olden days they didn't have phones. Oh my god, we were there. I mean, they did, but they were like bricks. They weren't smartphones that you can walk around.
I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about like being in middle school, like seventh grade type thing. And I was like, if you had to get a hold of like your parent or I don't know, just anybody, it was like we had one payphone on campus, and you needed a quarter to use the payphone, or you had to go to the principal's office. That was the only way you could get a hold of anybody outside of campus. Now, I mean, on a good day, you would never need either of these things. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I just cannot imagine a child,
Yeah.
12 years old, right? Seventh grade, just being like, if I don't have a quarter, I can't call my mom if something bad
right?
happens. Or I have to go to the principal's office and be like, somebody now puts me in the record as like a problem child who, had to use the phone. Like that is bizarre to me.
Right. Right. Now it's like you remember beepers too?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
people had beepers.
Yeah.
And I've never had one, but people had beepers to find or communicate quickly
Yeah.
and then go find a phone somewhere. But nowadays it's just, you can find me, you need it sadly for I don't know, if you get lost or I don't know, it's just hopefully more used for more of a safety tool now. If I was in my teens and 20s, I'm really glad I don't have, it all plastered on social media for everybody to see. Like, not that I was like a bad person or whatever, but I'm like, oh, nobody needs to see that time of my life.
I know.
And everybody's out
man.
taking
Yeah.
selfies and, outfit of the day, like there's no tomorrow. And just like, yeah, look at me here. Look at me here. It's like, okay. I don't mind doing that now, but like if I was that young and then like fast forward so many years later, I would be horrified to see that stuff. Because taste
same.
change.
Oh, same.
Taste change. Like what was I
Oh,
doing? What was I
same.
really into back then?
Oh yeah, totally. No, I get it. So speaking of, we were talking about stuff that can be done on Apple OS. Um, uh, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports that Apple may be looking to monetize Apple Maps, something that I use on a daily basis in my car and sometimes just, out and about using my iPhone. So this is a recent report. Apple looking to expand advertising across its services, blah, blah, blah. Companies do this. Sources point to an all-hands meeting where the Maps team discussed potential strategies. Okay, so Eileen, here's my question.
Yeah.
If Apple Maps was... And Apple Maps and Google Maps, I would say at this point, pretty neck and neck. Google Maps used to just trump Apple Maps.
Right.
Apple Maps has gotten a lot better over time. Some people say, depending on where you live, depending on where you're driving, depending on, what you're looking for, it's actually the better map. Would advertisements make you want to use one more than the other?
I don't think so. I was just looking at Google Maps, and you know how like there's just things on Google Maps that show up that you don't really need, but like I see
Yeah.
here,
But you're like,
if I'm
you're like used to it. You're like, oh, it's sponsored,
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, because it's just like, oh, here's a mattress sale. I don't need a mattress, but good to know it's there on this street or whatever if I'm nearby. But it honestly, like seeing that icon there saying there's a sale, I don't really. It's small, and then you can, just whatever. There's landmarks all over the place. If it's like that,
Yeah.
okay, fine. Maybe I do need a mattress. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that certain things are favored on here because I'm just looking for what I'm looking. I just happen
Yeah.
to know it. And in that case, sometimes I think, well, that's a good landmark. Okay, so that mattress place is near the place I'm looking. So if I run into that, I'm thinking that way. Versus being appalled that it's, trying to give me a coupon or something like that. I just kind of like, bye, don't need it. I don't know if others feel, different, but I don't I don't know. I'm just so ads are ads, and I see them all over when I'm looking at a T-Mobile ad on this Mashable article that I'll link to about the Apple Maps, I'm like, okay, it's kind of in my face and like ugly, but whatever, it's there. I don't really care. I'm trying to just read the article,
I'm
right?
with you too. I mean, I know there are a lot of people being like, that is, it's that's why subscriptions work well. And I think that's very true. I kind of have to think about some of my news gathering because everything's behind a paywall at this point where I'm like, okay, well, I can just like find like the secondary source that just like took all of your copy and put it on there. Like I don't want to do that. Anyway, that is probably a conversation for another time. But yeah, as far as ads on Apple Maps, I don't really care as long as I get where I'm going.
Exactly.
Apple Maps is in Los Angeles, where Eileen and I both live. I mean, it really works great. Not everybody in the world would say the same because Google Maps has been at the game a lot longer. But I really don't. I don't care about ads. If I have an option to get rid of the ads by paying a little bit of money, and I say no, I don't really care to pay the little bit of money. I'll just deal with the ads. I think that's a fair deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be so, well, we'll see. So in your face, I feel like it'll just kind of, well, hopefully we don't get like a full screen before going into directions to and from with like, here's the gas station, blah, blah, blah. Okay, X
what would
X
the full
out.
screen even be?
I don't know. Maybe it would be related to a car, or like I said, like, oh, do you need to find a gas station? No, X. I just need to go to the museum. I don't know. Maybe
Right.
that would be bad. That would be intrusive and not great. The only time I don't like ads are if I'm already paying for something and then the service decides, well, you're gonna have to pay more to not have ads, like Amazon Prime Video. It's kind of annoying, but then it's like, okay, I just have a short break while I'm watching, this show. So
Right.
it's an inconvenience and it's kind of annoying, but
we are children of commercials. I
No,
feel
we
like
are.
we're still like at an age where I'm like, it's a trade-off. And other
Yeah.
people are like, no, we should never have commercials. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, then you have to pay for it.
right. You have to pay big time for it. Yeah, exactly.
That's not what I did when I watched NBC when I was, 10.
Yeah. Experiences and people, there's a lot of people with different opinions out there right now. But as long as it's not too in my face, then I'll be okay with it. I mean, Apple News and Stocks already has sort of integrated ads, so it shouldn't be a surprise, to people. But arguably, Maps is used more, and will affect more people. So we'll see how that goes. But it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And maybe you'll get served something that you want. Maybe not, probably not. But what if you do?
Yeah.
How ads are.
It's probably going to be like those pair of shoes that I already bought where I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I already bought the shoes.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Or like
know,
Sephora ad or something. You're like, I
Yeah.
already went there. You're too late. Why didn't you give me this coupon yesterday when I needed it?
Yeah. Instagram ads, more than any other. I'm like, you guys, I get it. I already bought those cool linen sheets. Please stop.
And they keep showing
You already
you
got
all
me.
the time.
You already got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to show it to me again. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, Eileen, so last week we were talking about Apple TV Plus coming to Android, and you promised to give it a whirl. So
I did.
what do you think?
It's almost exactly the same. The only thing here, and I could show you on video, is that there is a specific MLS, Major League Soccer tab, that is not on the Apple version, the iOS version. So I don't know if they know that Android users are really into Major League Soccer, so they put that there, or if it's just today and it's just a test case. But I just noticed that was really the only thing that was, majorly different that, some people in iOS land might want. But, other than that, it's pretty much the same. Also, Apple Music, I finally did download on Android, exactly the same. So, there's download features. If you look side by side, it looks pretty much the same.
It does. Yeah.
There's not much difference to it. When you log onto it probably looks a little bit different if you don't already have an account. And so it's serving me a lot of the same things. Let me see here. Now I don't have sports so I see like on the Apple iOS version, I see movie spotlight and sports, and there's some live videos, some college baseball going on, and I don't see that as an option on Android. So there's a couple things that are different, but overall the UI experience is pretty much the same. So you're not and then again, maybe this is also learning, I just downloaded it, so it's trying to learn my interests, although it should sync, right? So
One
just a
would
few
think.
things.
Yeah. One would think it should sync.
Yeah, I don't see
rhymes.
live baseball on here. So the sports stuff is a little bit different for me currently as I'm looking. Oh no, there is sports. But it's like Friday Night Baseball. It's not on yet. So the current live stuff I don't see, but you have to dig for it, I think. Versus on iOS, it's like giving it to me on a silver platter. So just a few quirky things, but generally, if you're an Android user, you're getting the same experience as an iOS user. And other than they really want you to, watch Major League Soccer, it's like a big deal. They have a tab just for you, and Messi is like on the graphic here. So get your season. They want you to subscribe. So I feel like they know something about Android users, or they're testing of like Android users are more likely to subscribe to Major League Soccer.
Many Android users across the world, much more than iPhone users. Let's be honest. So yeah. I was curious to hear about this because I don't have an Android device, so I couldn't test. But yeah, like, did Apple try to make it, I don't know, somehow not as cool or, whatever? But it sounds like, from your experience, it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're gonna have some of the let's see, the dynamic. I didn't check here. For when you're watching a show, you know how there's all those dynamic audio features and some of the you're not going to have all that stuff, the bells and whistles, but in terms of the experience, the video is beautiful. Yeah, you get all the shows, and when you tap on it, it feels just like you're on iOS. So not much to Android users, this is an iOS experience on your phone. So there you go. Which Apple Music is like literally the same. Apple Music, if you don't already know, on Android is it's like 1-for-1. It's the same. I can't see anything different on Android versus iOS for that particular app. So I don't know.
It does seem that both it used to be iOS, well, used to be like Mac or PC, right? That was always like the what do you rock, Mac or PC? And then it became Android versus iOS. Now, back in the early days, we had like Windows Phone, BlackBerry, there were other options. Well, let's just call a spade, right? Mm-hmm. We have iOS or Android. And even though there are companies that do their various forks of Android in particular, but it's sort of like, what do you want to achieve? What is what it feels aesthetically great for you type thing. Mm-hmm. And everyone that I know who uses Android versus iOS says the same thing to me, which is it's the same. It's like maybe like, I don't know, the button is like, or not even buttons. We don't have buttons anymore, but like, like the one settings tab is like in a slightly different place. Otherwise, it's kind of the same. It's all the same.
Because if you can make it the same, you're being more efficient in your design, for different platforms. So,
Right. It always, I always use the car analogy. It's like at one point, some, all the car companies were like, oh, aerodynamic cars are like better. So let's all do that. And now everyone's car looks the same. It's like, you want a small car, you want a big car, you want an SUV, you want a sedan, like you've got options, but like they all look the same because we all just sort of figured out, what to do with it.
Well, and Apple did this for Apple TV because of, your favorite show, Sarah, Severance. Ooh. This is the time to grab the Android users right now because Severance
is the getting jam. Real good.
It's jam. It's the #1 show, and everybody. Well, I know a lot of people are talking about it. So hey, Android users, you can watch it on your phone. You don't have to watch it on an Apple TV device. You could use. This.
I mean, they could watch it on the web.
On the web, you're right.
But now you have a dedicated app.
Yeah.
Oh, Severance is good. It's getting good.
Yes.
I'm actually watching it with a friend, and he's like, "It's fine," and I'm like, "No, it's the best show ever." And he's like, "Is it? Why? Why do you think so?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That feeling where like a show just grabs you, and you're just like, I'm so into the show." Like
Well,
I felt
and-
that way about Mad Men back in the day. I'm like,
Oh,
I
I
don't even
love
care
Mad
what
Men.
happens
Yeah.
on the show. I love the
Yeah.
show. That's how I feel about Severance. I'm just
Well,
like, I love everybody on the show. I need, I need it to continue.
Well, it's also just not conventional, you know? I mean, I don't know where this story is going. I have no idea what the hell's going to happen. Like,
Me
there's no
either.
obvious conclusion. I'm like, what, I know they're trying to figure things out and the, the innie out, whatever, outie,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Well, what at the end of the day is going to happen? We're just going to expose this company even more than people already know about this company. Like it exists in that universe.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
good because it
it's-
keeps you guessing. I think it really does.
It does. And this probably has something to do with the fact that I often don't have time to watch TV until after, podcasts like this, where I'm like, okay, dinner time, walk the dog, watch something, and then Sarah goes to sleep in 5 minutes. So there have been a couple times where I'm like, I don't really think I absorbed that latest episode of Severance. Let's watch it again.
Yeah.
So I did that on Monday because it was a U.S. holiday. So I had some time that I normally wouldn't have on a Monday. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I think I slept.
We talked about this.
I
Like,
didn't see this at all.
that show has, like, seriously, if you are sleep deprived, this is a show you could put on. I know there's like haunting music here and there, but it's so even in tone. that
Yeah,
I
there's
think
not
you
a-
could
yeah,
use
like
it to
you're
lull
not-
yourself
yeah.
to sleep. There's not a lot of like screaming or anything like that.
I mean,
so
and that's exactly what happened where I was like, let's just catch up on episode 3. And then like an hour later, I was like, well, I slept through that. Let's put
Hey.
it on again.
we're saying that Severance serves two areas. One as entertainment, compelling story to watch, and then 2 as a way for you to go to sleep, almost like ASMR. Treat it like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
a
so
lullaby
many
of sorts. A
There you
lullaby
go.
of sorts.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Definitely. I've been thinking, Eileen, before we get out of here, I've been thinking about like, of all the like long series, and this is something that you could obviously watch on an Apple device or otherwise, like the long series that I've gone back to time and time again. So I've watched The Sopranos front to back
Ah, okay.
3 times, maybe 4. But, I mean, I know it. I watched The Wire twice. The first time I watched it, I was like, And then I watched it again. I was like, okay, it's really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Mad Men, only watched the once. I'm kind of feeling like, 2025 summer, maybe
Relive
a
it.
Mad Men rewatch. Because that's going to take months to get through.
Don't you miss Dawn? I mean, you see
Very
John
much.
Hamm everywhere, but I miss
see
him as
him
Dawn.
everywhere.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Exactly. Right.
Peggy,
And like,
Peggy, I'm so tired of seeing her tormented on Handmaid's Tale. Let me just see her rock it
Right.
in
Yes.
corporate environment in the early like 60s where she was like belittled but really rose to the challenge and was amazing, right? So
Exactly. And a friend of mine was watching, I don't know, it was like a episode from season 1 or something. And I like walked into the room and I was like, oh, that guy. Yeah. I kind of remember this part of the narrative, where I'm like, you know what? That would be a fun rewatch.
yeah.
I was wondering if anybody out there is thinking of like, oh, I really like the show. I something that is multiple seasons long.
Well,
would you want to like what would you want to watch?
So I used to want to rewatch Sex in the City, but it's dated. So to me now,
dated.
I don't want to watch that show. Back, 20 years ago, I thought it was the greatest thing, and now I'm like, ugh. And then the new, the new, what is it? The new Carrie Bradshaw, the
Oh,
sequel. Yeah,
just like
yeah.
that.
And just like that, I couldn't even finish season 1. I didn't like it. And
You
then
didn't
go
like
back.
it? Oh, I watched it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't finish season 1. And it just, I don't know. There's some shows that, like, dang it, I can't watch that. Now I have watched Game of Thrones, like 3 times. That I can watch from start to finish, and just because it's like, oh, I want to relive really the early seasons, and by the time I relive the early seasons, I'm like, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. I mean, I know that some of it's wonky at the end, but let's just keep going. I'm in it. You know,
people hated the last season. I'm like, I loved it.
I liked it all.
I just
I'm
wanted
like-
it to keep going forever.
Yeah, I wanted to keep seeing, Drogon, but obviously he's taking his mom anyway. Spoiler if you haven't seen it, taking his mom away. But like, oh, we could hang out. There was supposed to potentially be a Jon Snow, a series, and then we would get Ghost,
Right,
but
like
then
a
that kind of went
prequel, I
away.
think?
Yeah. Well, I thought
Yeah.
it was post, but either way, we would get the character back plus Ghost, and it was like, well,
Well, we
sad,
got House of the
didn't happen.
Dragon now.
We
so
did, yeah,
There's
and
that.
that's good.
I mean,
Yeah.
even though we're in, remission of sorts from that as well.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. There are some shows, like you said. I think it's the ones that aren't modern, because if it's like Sex and the City, where the jokes don't land now, or Friends. I love Friends, but some of
Well,
that stuff doesn't land, right?
People, I mean, that is, Friends is sort of almost in its own category.
Yeah, you just watch
where
it. You just know it was that time in life.
It was,
right?
yeah, it was a certain time, mid 90s, and that's what I mean, and obviously went beyond that, but like it was, you watch some of the old episodes, and I'm a Friends fan, don't get me wrong, I really like that show, but like there are certain episodes where I'm like, whoa, how are they doing this joke right now?
I know.
You don't
Well, I
do
think-
jokes like that. No.
I think the stars agree. You know what I mean? Like Jennifer Aniston or, Courtney, they would agree too. Oh, you know what I used to watch over and over again? And it just because it was always on TV, especially during like the holidays, was The Twilight Zone. It was black and white. And I would just, some of those stories are pretty evergreen.
Little
and
Eileen
you're-
just being like,
I know.
"Ooh."
Talking Tina and all this stuff. Like I know that it's graduated and there's other Twilight Zone series they've rebooted it, but the old stuff I was like, it was pretty scary at the time, and
Oh, for
and
sure.
and I could watch that over and over again. Yeah, I don't know. That's our tangent for the day. I mean, Star Trek. I can watch some of that
Star
stuff over
Trek.
again.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah.
I've definitely watched Twin Peaks
yeah.
several times.
Mhm.
And I
Ooh.
recently watched The Return for the second time. And, it like the first time I was just like, what is happening? I don't know what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, and I'm a fan. Like, what is happening? And then the second time I was like, what is happening? Like, no, nothing makes sense. But, R.I.P. David Lynch, that I think was the point.
Yeah.
I think that was the point.
Yeah. Keeps your brain going, right?
Yeah. At least, yeah. in some way. But all right. So Eileen and I are done with our spoilers for episode 49 of Apple Vision Show. But thanks to everyone for being with us. We'll see you next week. Hope you have a good one.
Sorry for the tangent on TV, guys. We just got into it. We were very passionate after talking about Apple TV,
I mean, we should probably just talk about TV every week.
I know, right? There's so much, I can introduce you to some of my K-dramas that I watch, and you could be like, oh, wow, that could be
Totally.
interesting,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
we could,
What is the show that I sort of got roped into the other night? Paradise. Very into Paradise.
Paradise. What's that?
It is
Where is
So
it?
it's like a weird like apocalyptic.
Oh, my favorite, Sterling K. Brown. I love him. Oh my God.
You would like the show.
Oh, because
And it's very confusing because it's like
oh, and
it's
James
like
Marsden. I love him too.
yeah. There you
Okay.
go. There you go.
This is good. Okay. I think I'm in just for the stars, the two male leads. I don't know the women. Otherwise I would also get excited, but I don't know them
yeah,
very well.
I don't
so-
either. No, it's like a weird sort of like yeah, like something bad has happened to Earth, but like we're going like forward and backward in time. It's great.
Is it
I'm into
all
it.
out? Like it's done? Like you can watch all episodes, or is it one of those like weekly kind of things?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay, let me
just
check.
was at a friend's house and they were like, "Want to watch Paradise?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I was like, "Ooh, this is good."
Okay, so they have 8. Oh, no, they're not. Well, what's this? What? February? It's already February. There's going to be 8 episodes, it looks like. But it looks like they're all out. I don't know. One says airs in March, though, episode 8.
Well,
All right,
we're almost in March.
Yeah. No, I've been missing Sterling K. Brown because I watched This Is Us, and I used to love that show so much.
I'm
but-
still watching
Yeah.
it. That's my wife and I's current watch. Is This Is Us.
Oh,
We're about halfway through the second season.
I just
And
cried
then when,
every time. I
then when
watch the
that's
show.
too much, we turn on Ted Lasso. So we're finally watching that.
You're reliving my, I don't know, 2021, 2020. I used to watch those two. Those two shows were kind of on the air around the same time. But yeah, Sterling K. Brown is amazing. And yeah, this is okay. I love it. Thank you, Sarah. I will,
So,
check it out.
speaking of crying, I'm sorry to make everybody cry a little bit more,
Uh-oh.
but has anyone seen the trailer for a movie called The Friend,
No.
starring Naomi Watts and Bill Murray?
Oh no, is it going to make you cry? I'm a little...
Oh, I mean, I cried over this
Just
trailer.
for the trailer?
I
There's a
don't even like
dog.
trailers.
There's
I
a dog.
avoid trailers. Yes, there's a dog. I avoid trailers because I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know the movie before I see the movie. But I watched it and, I mean, sobbed.
The story, friendship, and grief and healing about a writer who adopts a Great Dane that belonged to a late friend and mentor. Oh, God.
I know.
So,
So
it starts
Naomi
off with
Watts-
tragedy.
So Naomi Watts is adopting the big Great Dane. Oh, what a beautiful dog. Oh, my God. That's amazing.
I would die for a Great Dane.
I actually want to watch Mickey 17. Robert Pattinson, for whatever reason, that's my guy since Twilight. And I think he's done some pretty good work. And the trailer for Mickey 17, it's also Bong Joon-ho movie. I don't know. And it looks really, really interesting. And I also watched a little bit of the press tour when he went to Korea with Bong Joon-ho. And all I can say, Robert Pattinson is the funniest guy, like a regular dude that's just like, yeah, let's do finger hearts. Let's do all this with his director, and just going around being just really, I don't know, himself. I don't know. He cracks me up as a person. And whenever I hear him talk about anything, he's just kind of funny
Totally.
as a person. But yeah, Mickey 17, I definitely want to watch. That seems really quirky and fun.
Another thing to make you sad about The Friend is
Oh.
it's semi autobiographical.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So Bill Murray is the friend, right? Bill Murray's the mentor, I'm guessing.
Why? I already did this. I mean,
I don't know if I want
Eileen, watch the trailer.
Oh no! I'm gonna need 7 on the couch with me. I'm gonna go I'll hug him while I watch it, right?
Stop it, Ralphie.
Rafi's like, I'm important too.
Ralphie's like, me.
Not dogs, cats.
Yeah, me.
Oh wow.
The movie has a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes,
Okay, well.
but a
there you
7.1
go.
on IMDb.
It's so weird. Like, my two
They're so
little
different.
varmints, like, ran in here. They're like, are you talking about that movie? Get out of here. You know, they just know. They just
They
know.
know. They
do.
know.
They know. Yeah.
Well,
no,
let's,
it looks really cute, and I also want a Great Dane so bad.
Oh, you
let's
do.
let our live audience go so they can go watch the trailer and cry on
Okay,
their own.
go
All
watch
right,
the
fine.
trailer. Bye,
We'll see
guys.
them next week.
Bye. See you next week.
I'm into vampires, not werewolves. Jack